Emily Welsby, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Who the hell are you?
Who am I? Well, for anyone who doesn't know, I feel like people will probably mostly know me as your girlfriend. I feel like that is how a lot of people actually come up to me, like, oh, you're Jake's girlfriend. But I am...
You are your own person, though.
I am my own person. I definitely am. I am a coach. I am a dog mum.
Dog mum, which comes first?
Which comes first before anything else. I am not an athlete, but I definitely like training. Yeah, just a happy person.
So, do you want to know what ChatGPT says about you?
I'm intrigued at this. I think this is a bit scary, but go on.
And I don't know why I'm ChatGPT and my own girlfriend. Why do I say ChatGPT like I'm like a 40-year-old dad who doesn't know what ChatGPT is? I use it literally for everything. But ChatGPT says, Emily Welsby describes herself as a hybrid girly trying to get better at running.
That's literally my Instagram bio. That's
is
why
it? Is that? Yeah. Amazing. So obviously, you're a coach.
I am.
But you wasn't always a coach. You've actually gone through, since knowing us. Actually, do you want to tell a story about how we actually got together? For anyone that's actually interested, if you want, you can skip this bit because this could be boring potentially.
It could be, but I do think it's quite a funny story. So I'll go back to my first ever memory of Jake. We were actually in year 7 at high school, and I was outside the maths classroom, and because we'd just started high school and nobody knew anybody's names, we had name stickers stuck to our shirts. And we'd probably been there about 2 weeks, but obviously you were young, like some people still had them. And Jake had stuck his to his chin. And I remember seeing him and I thought, what an idiot. Like, he's trying to show off. He thinks he's cool. He stuck it on his chin rather than his jumper. And it actually turns out that you'd gone over your handlebars on your bike and smashed your chin in. And it was actually a dressing that you had on your cut.
Actually, still got that scar there. And everyone actually comes up to me and like asks me, what's that scar from? And that's the...
Well, I just thought you were a knobhead. And we obviously became very good friends throughout high school, never more than friends, which is a question that we get asked a lot. And we loosely kept in touch, and then we kind of bumped back into each other when we were 17.
I think you was actually one of my main customers. I used to sell chocolate bars and Lucozade at school. And Emily was one of my favourite customers because she
You used to con me out of money.
Yeah, you never had change. You always had pound coins. And you'd buy something for 50p. So a Kit Kat was 50p back in the day. I don't know if that's changed, by the way. I don't know, like, people have to let us know, like, kids that are selling chocolate bars at school at the moment. Is it still 50p for a Kit Kat, or is it...
It's probably £1 nowadays.
Yeah, it's probably £1. I don't know. I heard a Freddo is £1 the other day.
No,
I don't
they're
know.
like 30p.
But anyway, and Emily never used to have change. She used to have, like, £2 coins, £1 coins, sometimes a fiver.
£2 coins?
I know, yeah. You never see them anymore. But... you never used to have change, and I used to pretend that I didn't have change. She was like, oh, go on, I'll just have 2 chocolate bars, or I'll just have 4 chocolate bars. And then you'd like give them to your friends. You was actually, you was a little bit of a snob at school, I feel like.
A snob?
Explain the story about what, like the school that you was meant to go to, and then the school that you ended up going to, which was our school.
So, to be fair, I was very fortunate growing up. My mum and dad worked really hard. They provided a very nice life for us. I went to a very nice primary school where we didn't really see much of, not the real world, but everyone was loved. Everyone was like quite lucky in life. It was a very nice like start to life. And then I was meant to go to high school with all my friends, but I was out of the catchment area. So I ended up going to a different school where there was only like 4 of us from my primary school that went there. And I'll never forget, on my taster day, again, we were very protected growing up. So I went to this new school on my taster day, and within the first 10 minutes, I met a girl who is still one of my best friends to this day, and a girl who she'd come with from her school. They'd fallen out, and this girl called her a slag. And I'd never heard the word slag before. I didn't even know what it meant. And I was like, whoa. I felt like I was in Mean Girls. I was like, what the hell have I just walked into? So it was a bit of a shock to my system, but I'd say I quickly got used to it.
Okay, so let's fast forward.
So yeah, that was how we met. We then bumped back into each other, and you took me to Knowsley Safari Park for our first date. And that was 9 and a bit years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time. And people... always ask me, why have you not popped the question yet? And I firmly believe in the 10-year rule.
But we're coming up to 10 years.
So I think I'm going to extend it to 15 years. And it's going to be the
And then
15-year
20.
rule. 15-year probation. Do a little test before potentially popping the question.
Essentially, you keep me on my toes.
Yeah, that's it. So obviously that's how we met. But I remember in school, you was always very smart. You was in top sets for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah, I did.
Why did you want to be a doctor?
So I think, if you don't know me, I'm a very chatty person. Like, I love speaking to people. I love meeting new people. I love getting to know new people. And I like the thought of being able to help people. As I mentioned before, my mum and dad have always worked really hard. And my dad's always been like, you go to school, you go to uni, you get a degree, you get a good job, and you stick at that for life. So I decided that I was going to be a doctor. And this, I'd say, went on until I think I was in year 11, or I might have been in my first year of college. And I managed to get work experience for a week at Bolton Hospital. And that was a real shock to my system because I'm a fainter. And I was fainting watching people have cannulas put in their arms. I watched someone have an injection in the back and I was gone. And I thought, I think I need to fix something different here.
Interesting. And then when you was at college, you had a part-time job?
Yeah, I worked at the perfume shop.
How was that?
It was a job. And to be fair, I had fun. Again, I'm just a chatty person. Like, to me, being able to stand there and chat to people was ideal. The people I work with, the customers, like, I just like speaking to people. I like getting to know people. The thought of working behind a desk 9 till 5, not speaking to anyone would cripple me.
And when did that change? Because obviously, I understand doctors do speak to people all day, but it's still one of them jobs where it is career long and it's probably classed as a 9 to 5. Like, when did that change that you didn't want to do that?
Well, I think I was always quite confused because, again, I feel like there was so much pressure on us, and not from my parents, like, just from everyone.
I think that was just the culture. Like,
Yeah.
you're successful if you have a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah, but you had to decide what your 9 to 5 was going to be. We picked our options in year 8, so you're what, 12? How on earth are you meant to know what you want to do when you're 12? So I feel like I tried and tested a few things as I grew up, and they've always been within the same realm. Like, I obviously worked in a shop which was customer facing. I then decided I wanted to be a makeup artist. I then decided I wanted to do lashes. I've then ended up being a PT. So I feel like everything that I've done, I've spoke to people, you build relationships with people, you see them on a regular basis. And when you look back, like being a makeup artist, yeah, I loved the makeup side of things, but making people feel good made me feel good. Same with lashes. Like, you don't realise how, it might sound really vain, but little things like that where you make people feel good. Again, for them to come and sit and have the lashes done for an hour where they can speak to you about whatever they want to speak to you about. The things they told me. And then you walk past them in Tesco and I think, oh, I know everything about you. Like, it's just different. You build relationships with people. That is different. And I think that is special. And you don't necessarily realise what an impact that has on someone. But then when someone is going through a tough time and they get an hour away from everything, they can rant to you, they can moan at you, they can cry to you, whatever. They then leave and that weight's been lifted because they've shared something with you that they probably wouldn't speak to many other people about. So when you think about it on that level, yeah, you might be going for a lash appointment, but the relationship that you have, like I've got it now with my lash tech, like it's just a very different relationship. And I think that's what I really, really appreciate with every job that I've had.
Interesting. And obviously you took that forward to the job that you have today, which for the people that don't know, you're a head coach at the 247 Represent Gym. You coach the girls every single morning. You're also an online coach. How does the job skills from, because people would be mind blown that you used to be a makeup artist or you used to be a lash technician and you've gone into this becoming a personal trainer. How does it carry over?
So again, it's that, like, the way I look at it is you're giving someone an hour of your time. Whether you're doing something with them in that hour, like their makeup, their lashes, coaching them, you want them to leave feeling better than they did them when they walked through the door. And I'd like to take pride in saying that I think I'm a good coach because I think I do that. Because you might be having a bad day, but for your client, that doesn't matter to them. Like, you're not the important thing in that hour. It's the client that's the important thing in that hour. So being able to take away your emotion, your feelings, and think about your client and ask them about what they mentioned last week and make sure that they're okay and have they had a good day? Why are they in a bit of a different mood to normal? It sounds minor, But when you look at something like coaching, everything is taken into consideration with how someone will make progress. So if they're really like, they've got something really big happening in their life, something's on their mind, they need someone to share that problem with, so you can, that's not sitting on their mind all day, every day. So I feel like it's so important to be able to take yourself out of that hour. You're not important, it's about them. And again, I feel like that's the carryover that's happened. You've got to trust the person that you're going to for coaching, because they're in charge of your coaching, they're in charge of your nutrition, they're who you're checking in with every week. You've got to have a deeper level of understanding of that client than just their training.
And when did your love for fitness actually come about? Because I don't know, obviously you've always played sport, you've always done sport, but I feel like there was a switch where you kind of became obsessed. Mm-hmm. And I feel like me as well, like the older I get, the more fitness has a bigger role in my life. Mm-hmm. Every single year. Would you say the same?
100%. So when I was younger, I used to dance quite a lot. And then went to high school. I feel like it wasn't cool to do PE when we were at high school.
Which is mad, because we've spoke to people from different countries, whether it's the States, whether it's Australia, and fitness and PE is always like, people are proud. And girls in the UK, for some reason, I don't know if it's changed, but it was uncool.
It was so uncool. So we used to actually choose to sit in a maths classroom and do nothing instead of doing PE. Which I do think, I mean, our PE sessions weren't what you'd hope they would be.
Yeah, it was literally standing out in the freezing cold
pretending to play hockey.
Yeah.
You know, I remember they used to put us in the hall and put like an exercise video on. No one's going to do that. But I definitely think that's had a carryover to my mindset towards it. I then went to uni, and I think a lot of people will have had the same experience as me. I went to uni, we used to go out every night. We were in charge of cooking whatever we wanted, which was minimal. It was usually McDonald's. I actually took my car to uni with me because I was still working at the perfume shop, and I needed to obviously get to work. So rather than walking 20 minutes to my lectures, I'd just drive. And I think all those habits on top of each other were so unhealthy. I put so much weight on. And I've got the pictures on my phone. One day I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, who is that? And it sounds really cliche, and I know people have said it before, but I genuinely didn't recognise myself. And I thought, something's got to change. And I took these progress pictures and I literally couldn't look at them for a long, long, long time, because I thought, how have I let myself get to this point? And that was a turning point. I started going to the gym. I remember I asked you to write me a training program. This was years ago. I was literally 18 at the time. I started going to the gym. And then I think the turning point in my head for loving coaching, loving fitness, was I used to train with two of my friends at a gym in Leigh. And I'd be like, oh, I've planned a session today. We're going to do legs. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I got a buzz off us all being in pain together, but then feeling really good after it. And it was like a thing. I used to push back my lash clients, so rather than starting at 9, I'd start at 10, so I could get to the gym, do my session before I started my lashes. And that, when I look back, I think they were all the sort of subtle changes that were happening that then led me to decide to coach. Because prior to that, if you'd have put coaching on the table as a job, I'd have been like, absolutely not. But I think when you've been through that transformation, not only physically but mentally, it's changed your life in so many ways that you don't want to get back to that point. I remember you actually worked away all summer, do you remember, in the lakes, and every single night, I didn't have much else to do. I would go to the gym, I would download Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and I was only allowed to watch it on the Stairmaster. So I used to go to the gym and I used to do 45 minutes Stairmaster every single night. I'd train with the plan that you'd set me, I'd get my steps in. And like the whole transformation, I remember I started wearing shorts, which I wouldn't have worn before. I was wearing shorter tops, like strap-wise, shorter dresses, feeling more confident about myself. And all those little things, I felt like I'd got myself back. And I remember thinking that I never want to go back to feeling how I was. I was hiding myself. I was wearing like long sleeves when it was warm. And I just, remember thinking I never, ever want to feel like that again.
So I found it actually really interesting what you mentioned there about there was a turning point where you looked at yourself in the mirror, because we were together at this point in time and I didn't notice the change in you either. I didn't notice you becoming a little bit lazier, you getting a little bit more out of shape. It's not like I was just being polite. I literally didn't notice it. And I went through a similar period as well. And I think it's only until you realize, and when you realize it's gone too far, whether it's looking into the mirror, whether it's someone saying something to you, and it might be in a polite way. You know, for lads, it's, oh, you're looking big, really. Like, you're looking muscular, you're looking big, you're not fitting in your t-shirts. I used to get that all the time. And there was one turning point where it was like, people were saying that too much. And it was like, I think I'm overweight here. And I think it's super important for the other person to be, one, honest, but two, if you want to make a change, then, or if your partner wants to make a change, you support them.
100%.
And yeah, you clearly obviously wanted to make a change, and we made that happen. You know, I wrote your plan. It must have been like a bro bodybuilding.
Yeah, it
split.
really was. Like, I remember you'd done it on like an Excel sheet, and it was like 2 sets of 8 to 10 of like a shoulder press, and then it was like a row, and they're all things that
it would have been. I guarantee
now,
you, it would have been like 2 sets, 1 all-out intensity set,
failure.
1 back-off set, and it was maximum hypertrophy, and it was just what I was into at the time, and I didn't know much else. But it's cool that obviously, like you say, you stuck to it, even when I was working away and things like that. So it's interesting. How did, going back to when you looked into the mirror, what was the changing point actually? Was it you looking in the mirror and you realizing, or was it one of your friends saying something, or a nasty comment that you got? Like, what was the change?
It was that. And I remember it. So I was at uni. I had this blue shirt thing, top that I used to wear. And it had like a tie around the waist. And I remember tying it. And I was like, obviously normally like you tie it and I go really tight in, and it was getting less and less tight in, and I thought, God, this top's getting small. And like my jeans, it was the Joni jeans era, which you won't remember, but all the girls will remember, like Topshop Joni jeans were it. And you used to have to buy a waist size and a leg size. They were sized like men's jeans are usually. And I always used to get a 28 waist. And I remember they were too small and I didn't want to go up, but they were getting tighter and tighter, and I was getting bulging over them. And it was just this moment where I looked in them, and I took the pictures for that reason, because I know sometimes you can look at yourself and it's emotion that's talking to you. It's not a fact. Do you know, we all do it. Sometimes you look in the mirror, you think, oh God, I look awful today. And then the next day you might think, oh, I look quite good today. But I remember I'd been avoiding the mirror, and I looked in it and I just thought, that is not you. You're not happy. You're not confident. You're not comfortable. I'm normally quite a happy, confident person, and I'd lost that. And I remember I used to feel shame, like, I'd be driving to uni when everyone else was walking. I'd go to Mackie's drive-through on my way to work. And I remember having a bit of shame, and I was like trying to hide it from people that I'd been to Mackie's again. That's not normal. And I knew that when I was doing it, but I turned a blind eye to it. And then I think I just had this one day and I was like, enough's enough. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting. And for the people out there, like, you're talking like you was obese. You wasn't obese. You was a little bit overweight.
I was just bigger than what I'm happy being. Yeah. But I think...
But everyone has that. Like, everyone has that perception of themselves.
I think it's important to have that, though, to have a point, because if I'd have waited till I'd got morbidly obese, not only is it dangerous, but I think it's so far past it being like a few weeks to get back on track. And I don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that your weight shouldn't fluctuate. My weight does still fluctuate, and I think everyone's kind of got a point that they can get to, like, do you know, whether they're going for a stressful time, whether it's a really busy period, whether they're travelling a lot. I understand that everyone's not on it round the clock, and I don't think you have to be on it round the clock, but I do think it's important to just have a bit of a, you know, a word with yourself sometimes and think, I've been a bit slack with my training or with my nutrition, let's just tighten it up and get back on it. I'm not saying you need to like religiously track every day. Like, I'm not saying that.
So now you're a full-time coach, and in my opinion, and this might be a little bit biased, but I think you're one of the best coaches out there.
Thank you.
And the reason I say that is because you always prioritize your clients before yourself. So even though you're into fitness and you love fitness and you love to train, you'll sacrifice your own training to improve someone else's training, or to work and coach them instead. And I think that's what a lot of people get wrong, especially within the fitness industry. I feel like people get into fitness and feel like they get into becoming a coach because they're obsessed with fitness and they're obsessed with their own training. And you're not like that. You have a passion for helping people, and that comes way before your passion for your own training, if that makes sense. And I think that's what every good coach should have. They should prioritize their clients. Why is that?
Well, I think like I said before, when you're coaching somebody, your time isn't important. It's their time that's important. And I think, like, especially we live quite a chaotic life. So I think that me needing to fit my own training in should never come before a client's training, because I can get up a couple of hours earlier, I can go to bed a bit later. Like, that's a me problem. But for my clients, I want them to have a good experience. I want them to be happy. I want them to feel valued. And I think that's a huge thing. I think you have definitely got to walk the walk in the way that you've got to train yourself. You've got to put yourself through the sessions that you're going to put your clients through. Otherwise, I think you're a bit of a shit coach. But do that on your own time. It can be awkward for you, but you don't want it to be awkward for your clients. Like, I want them to leave the session feeling better than they did when they walked in, more energy, probably have a tough session, but they've got something off the chest, or they just feel a little bit better and a bit happier. And that is, to me, what makes me love coaching so much, that not only are you benefiting their health and, you know, their lifestyle, but you're making them feel happier as a person. And I think it's rare to find, like, I hate spending time with people that suck the life out of you. Do you know, if you spend 20 minutes with somebody and you leave it thinking, oh God, that was miserable. Like, I'd never want to be that person. So I think I do go out of my way to not be that person, because I want people to leave probably thinking I'm a bit crazy. Like, if you saw me coaching a class or coaching somebody, I look like I've lost the plot. I'm singing, I'm dancing whilst I'm coaching, whilst I'm telling everyone what to do, and it is a bit manic, but people, like, have fun doing it, and that's what it's about.
And I have witnessed that every single morning. I walk into that Represent gym. For those who don't know, Emily coaches the class at 6:30. All the girls train at 6:30 just so they have a little bit more time to get ready, and then the lads come in at 7:30, a little bit lazier, get up a little bit later, and I come in with them, and Emily is screaming and shouting at the top of her lungs in the best way possible. Sometimes it's a little bit much for me in the morning.
You walk in and I'm like, good morning, and you're like, oh my God. But again, like, I understand that the class is at 6:30 in the morning. Some people have to drive an hour to get there. So they're getting up at 5 a.m. If they're getting up and turning up to the gym at 6:30 in the morning and they're walking, I'm like, oh, morning.
Yeah,
they'd be like, why am I bothering?
Yeah.
I want them to be like, oh, I'm tired, but I'm going to get in the gym and I'm going to feel so much better. And I want them to leave with that every morning. So I am batshit crazy when I'm coaching, but I think it's worth it.
I think that's a tip that I was going to ask you. Do you have any tips for coaches out there? Mm-hmm. Like, anything that you've learned along the way that you think's a bit of a red flag in a coach, maybe, or something that a coach could work on? I
just think, and you witness it all the time, be enthusiastic, because you see people that are coaching, they've got their arms crossed, they learn on the wall, they're not really looking at what the client's doing. The client's doing half a squat and they're not doing anything to fix it. And I think, I look at people when I do that, and I think, you can't be enjoying this hour, and your client can't be feeling the benefit. They're paying you, what, £50 an hour, which is a lot of money, and you can't really be asked. So I just think, like I said, put anything you're feeling. I don't care if you've had a blazing argument in the morning. I don't care whatever's happened. You've got to put that aside, put your life on pause, and just be present, be enthusiastic, be happy, be everything that you would want in a coach. Because I can guarantee, if a coach went to somebody and they were getting a half-hour service, they wouldn't keep going. And I think, like, I would never want one of my clients to talk to someone and be like, oh yeah, she was a bit shit.
So you're saying be full of energy.
Yeah, just
leave your own problems
at the door. Don't get me wrong. You've got different clients that will. Some people want a bit of calm. Believe it or not, I can give that to people if they want it. But a lot of people turn up to the gym and they can't really be asked. So you need to make them be asked.
Yeah, make them enjoy it. Mm-hmm. That's the number one thing. And like you say, make them leave every single session feeling better than when they came in.
And if you're paying them £50, give them every penny's worth. Do you know what I mean? Don't be half-assed with it. Like, if you think in the UK, I don't know what the average hourly rate is, but for a lot of people, they've got to work for 2 hours to pay for an hour of your time. So make it worth, like, 2 hours of their time.
For sure. And you mentioned that you're 99% of the time you're full of beans. Like, I witness that. And because I don't understand how you keep doing it either, but, like, how do you avoid burnout? Is there any kind of, like, tips that you'd give to someone who gets burnt out quite often?
Yeah, well, I think we've both definitely been there. We went through a time where we were probably working 16-hour days every single day and training before that. not sleeping, not looking after ourselves, not eating enough, because back then it wasn't spoken about enough that fuel is fuel. And I think we lived with my mum and dad at the time, and every night they were like, guys, you're doing too much, you're burning out, you look tired. And we were like, no, we're not, no, we're not, no, we're not. And then I remember I actually really hurt my back training because I was training silly, I wasn't eating enough. I was so burnt out and it wasn't getting any better for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I was like, why is nothing magic fixing this? And I think I came to the realisation that actually we're doing so much and something's got to give. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect at sleep. I try.
No, you're not perfect with sleep. I feel like I'm maybe a little bit too obsessed with sleep, but you definitely sacrifice your sleep. But again, I think you sacrifice sleep because you just not want to complain. Like if you need to get up early, you get up early, you don't complain, you go and train, you then coach, if you've got a busy day, that's just what you do and you just crack on with it.
And just make it work. Because again, like my own training can be chaotic, that's fine, that's a me problem. But for everyone else, like if stuff's in the diary, stuff needs to get done in the day, my own training has to be on my time. Like that's for me to worry about, not for anyone else to worry about. So sometimes it is a 4 a.m. get up or whatever, but you've just got to get it done. But again, be grateful for it. Like you get to train. You get to get up early. We've got an amazing gym that we get to go to. I know that after I've trained, all the girls are going to come in. Like sometimes you're like, ugh, again, but we're so lucky to get to do this. But we still pinch ourselves every day that this is our life. So for us to complain about only having 5 hours sleep, it's not an every night thing. Like we'll get over it.
Yeah. And do you always feel motivated with training?
Oh God, no, not at all. Again, I feel like we travel so much, which is so lucky to have that. But there are times where I think, I've just been on a flight for 16 hours, I'm tired, there's a time difference, we've got stuff to do, I'll train tomorrow, and then I feel stiff and I think, I don't want to do it, or we're busy. And it's really hard to force yourself to do it. You always feel better for doing it, but I think when you're in the mindset of not wanting to do it, you're very quick to make excuses for yourself, or I definitely am. So yeah, definitely not motivated all the time.
Do you feel like that's why... So for people that don't know, Emily has just started 75 Hard. Mm-hmm. Is that one of the reasons you started it? What was the reason in starting it? Like why? And explain what it is for the people that don't know.
Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, it is a 75-day challenge, and there are a list of things that you've got to do every single day, non-negotiable. So it's 2 45-minute workouts. One has to be indoors, one has to be outdoors. And they can't be like an hour and a half of a single workout. They've got to be separate. 4 litres of water every day, 10 pages of a non-fiction book. You've got to take progress pictures every day, no alcohol, and you've got to like pick some sort of diet and stick to it. So I originally did this about 1.5 years ago. George had raved about it and Nick Speakman had said how amazing it was. So I wanted to set myself a challenge and I did it and I felt incredible. I was so disciplined with it. I wouldn't say motivated because after 30 days it definitely gets very boring. But at the end of it, I remember thinking, I feel incredible and I've pushed myself way beyond where I thought I could. And I think when you do mentally and physically push yourself beyond where you think you can do, it kind of unlocks your mind for future times where you're back in that pain cave and you don't think you can do it. And I learned a lot about myself by doing it. Again, getting up super early. I remember we had a flight to catch and I think I was at the gym for 4 a.m.
Oh, you've just literally done that. We're currently in Houston. You flew out 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. The flight was... 9 a.m. or something, and you had to get 2 workouts in before?
Yeah, so I actually ran whilst it was snowing at 5 to 5 in the morning, and then I did a 45-minute bike session and was late to get ready. But you've got to make it work, and that's like it is an inconvenience. So I did that, and I felt incredible. And then over the past few weeks, we've trained a lot. We've travelled a lot. The dog had an operation. It's been cold. There's been 1,000,001 excuses, and I've found excuses. And I was sat there, and I thought, I don't want to start the year feeling like this because I don't feel at the minute or during the past couple of weeks, I felt a bit lazy, is how I'm going to put it. There's been Christmas chocolate around, there's been nights out, and I feel like I've been making excuses for training. And I thought, I don't want to go into a new year where I've got some big goals for myself, starting it like that, because it's not the way that I want to go into the year. It's not what I want to carry on for the year. So when I thought about what I wanted to do about it, I thought I felt my best self doing 75 Hard because it was hard. And I did it. And I'm so stubborn. Anyone who knows me, like, I am a stubborn person. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I don't want to pick the easy option. I want to make it hard. So I thought, if I start that on the 1st of January, it's going to be cold. It's going to be a bit grim. We've got a lot of travel coming up, so it's definitely going to be an inconvenience. But again, that's where you learn things by yourself. So I thought, let's do it. My circumstances have changed a lot since I last did it, so it's going to be like a lot of new issues to overcome. But yeah, I thought, why not? What else am I going to do?
Makes sense. And it's just, like you say, we can go about life being really comfortable, and you're choosing to do something difficult, and it's going to pay off. I remember last time you did it, and after the 75 days, one, you was in one of the best shapes you've ever been in.
Yeah, for sure.
But two, like, you was the happiest. Even though you was sacrificing a lot, you was the happiest, and you felt good, and there was not one day where you felt guilty.
Yeah. Again, though, I think when you have to make it work, when it's an inconvenience, but you do it anyway, like the highs on another level. Like when I was flying here the other day, I trained twice. It was -6 and snowing, and I was running down Trolley New Road. I was the only person out running, and I went to the gym after, and everyone was like, "You're crazy," and I was like, "Yeah, but I would have been in bed otherwise." So the fact that I got up and got out makes me feel so good, and that to me is like a reminder of why you do it.
I want to change subjects a little bit and move on to training and nutrition, but female-specific training and nutrition. Yep. How does being a female differ to being a male when training?
I mean, I've never been a male, so I'm just going off what I've heard.
You could either go about like how's it different coaching females to males?
I think.
And how does your anatomy differ to ours? Obviously, I've got a penis. You've not, but but apart from that, like how does it change with training?
So I think that coaching women is definitely a lot more niche than coaching men. And I know obviously everyone has stuff going on in their life, but especially like hormonally, men are very stable throughout the whole month. You'll notice, especially you, because you're very sleep sensitive, that if you have a bad night's sleep or you don't eat right, you probably feel a bit off, but it's nothing that a day can't change. Whereas a woman feels different every day because of where their hormones are, where their cycle is, if they're on any sort of contraception, how that will impact it. I feel like a lot of men will be able to relate to this through living with women. You definitely will. Like the week before your period, I could cry every day over nothing. And the emotions that you feel, I could feel every emotion in a day. You're laughing now because you know what I mean, don't you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you're just secretly hiding that you're a psychopath.
No, but you feel like that, and you can't explain it to someone that's never experienced it. But your emotions change completely day to day. One day you could feel like the happiest person. The next day you're sad for no reason. The next day you're angry. The next day you're crying at Tesco because you've got no Cocoa Pops left. And it's so irrational. But in that moment, you can't do anything to fix it. So if you think I'm crying about Cocoa Pops in Tesco, but then I've got to go to the gym and my legs are sore and I've got a leg session to do and whatever, like one inconvenience can really make the difference in your day. And it sounds silly. Talking about it like this when we're being rational, it sounds minor. But when you're in that moment and you've had a full week of it, one little thing can have a massive impact on your week. So I feel like to be able to understand the mindset of a woman, you've got to kind of understand what they go through in a month. And that every week for most women is where they will experience a different part of their cycle, a load of different hormones, and that will impact their training. So for the most part of women, you'll have 3 weeks where you feel pretty good, pretty consistent. 1 week within that you will peak and you'll probably feel really strong. And then you'll probably have 1 week where you feel weaker, a lot more imbalanced, like genuinely like your balance will be off. You'll be falling over doing a split squat. You won't be as precise with what you are doing. So I feel like you've got to have that approach with your clients and explain that to women. We don't really have this explained to us. I've learned this through researching it myself, but you don't sit in a classroom at school and get taught that this is what happens to you and it's normal. So you've got to explain that to your clients and then be understanding with them. 1 week of the month, don't go for a PB. Use machine so that you've got the stability from the machine rather than trying to provide that yourself. Be a little bit kinder to yourself. The science says that on average, you burn about 300 calories per day extra the week before your period. And coincidentally, that is when your cravings tend to be the highest. So will it stop you from having a mental breakdown to have a Freddo and you're getting a bit of chocolate when you really want it than to not have it? Have the Freddo. Everything in moderation, obviously, as long as you can stick to that without binging. But it's very person dependent. Some women experience all the symptoms, some of them experience nothing. And I think you've got to be clued up on it. You've got to be understanding, and you've got to be able to teach this to your clients, because it's nothing that you will get told otherwise. So I feel like that is the main difference between men and women, in that with men, everything's pretty consistent. You can get a logbook, and week on week, you're going to push them numbers and you're going to try and improve everything. Same with running time, same with everything else. But as a woman, you probably won't have that linear progress every single week. But as long as you can understand why, and you know when to push and when to hold back a little bit, that's when you will still see progress. It just might take a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never really knew that, and I've coached women in the past, so it's interesting how ignorant you can be to stuff like that, because we could just think as lads, oh, they're just being lazy.
Yeah.
And they're definitely not being lazy.
Yeah. And I think there is a point where you've got to ask yourself the question, am I not wanting to go out because I can't be asked and I'm using it as an excuse? Or is it really one of those days where you're in pain, you feel a bit all over the place? It's better to leave your session and do it tomorrow when you're probably in a bit of a mentally better place. And then another thing that really does have an impact is weight on the scales isn't reflective, more so in women, of fat loss, because there are so many things that can have an impact on your weight. Obviously with men as well, if you eat more carbs, you'll be holding more water, if you're stressed, things like that. But you will change weight depending on what week of your cycle you're on. And women don't want to hear that, because ideally, to get an accurate measurement of your weight, you should weigh yourself once every day and take an average, which for me is a bit too obsessive, because I don't think you should weigh yourself every day. Or weigh yourself once per month, so every 4 weeks, where you're at the same point of your cycle, and then you can measure pretty accurate progress from there.
Could you weigh yourself once per week, but only compare that to the 4 weeks prior?
Yeah, for sure. So you're comparing your weight from the same point of your last cycle.
Yeah.
So that would work. But it's real. People don't want to believe that, because people want to weigh themselves and they want that number. But then they'll also beat themselves up if they've been in a deficit for the past 4 weeks, but they're weighing more than they did last week. And it's really hard to explain to someone that it isn't fat. You're just holding more water because of where you are with your cycle. But people don't want to hear it. And I think, again, if you're having a bad day and then you weigh yourself and your weight's gone up, but you've been doing everything that you can do to try and lose weight, in your head, you're beating yourself up even more than you normally would do. And it's just really hard to explain that to people when they don't want to hear it, because no one wants to hear that.
No, it just seems like it's a lot harder. Everything's a lot harder being a woman.
I mean, I can only speak from my point of view, but I do think it's just a bit more complicated, and you've got to have a lot more understanding and a lot more patience with measuring your progress.
Yeah. I didn't actually know that. Interesting, really interesting. So, obviously, it's just turned 2026. What are your goals for this year? Have you got any fitness-related goals? Any personal goals? Any travel goals?
So I feel like travel goals are probably pretty much covered, because I feel like we're never in the country, which is exciting. My first big goal that I've got is that I'm running Manchester Marathon in April.
Oh, sick.
So for anyone that doesn't know, this is quite funny.
I actually just pretended like I don't know that.
Yeah,
I do know that.
You do know that.
Yeah. Pretending like we don't live together and we don't speak to each other, and I'm like interviewing someone that... Sorry, guys, I'm new to this.
No, so for anyone that doesn't know, which is quite funny, the last time I finished 75 hard, on the last day, I've recently got into running in the past 2 years. I wouldn't call myself a runner, but I do run. I try to run. On my last day of 75 hard, I finished it by doing a half marathon on my own, and I didn't tell anybody. And I texted you when I'd done it. I was like, oh my God, I've just run a half marathon all on my own. And you were like, that's incredible. And then you were in a meeting, so you got home and you handed me a card to say, well done for finishing 75 hard. And I opened this card and a piece of paper fell out of it. It wasn't money. It was...
Unfortunately, skin at the time.
Unfortunately, it wasn't. What it was a sign up to a marathon. And I'd never had an intention of running a marathon before. And you'd sign me up for this marathon and I thought, shit, I don't want to do this, but I've got to. So I actually did do Paris Marathon last year, and I hated every single second of it. I swore blind I would never do another one. I actually rang you crying at 30 kilometres, didn't I? And I was like, I can't do this. Everything that went wrong did. My hip was hurting, my hamstring was hurting, my stomach was horrendous. I was trying to be sick. I was dehydrated. Like, it was just a nightmare. And I remember crossing the finish line, and I just wanted to go and sit in the hotel. I felt horrendous, and I was like, this is awful. And then obviously you go away and you reflect on it, and I thought, I could have trained harder. I could have been more prepared for the day. I could have been a bit more clever with how I fueled, with the gels that I used. And again, I'm such a stubborn person that I thought I can do better than that. So I've signed myself for Manchester.
You've not just signed yourself up though, you've signed the whole of Represent Up
Yeah,
as
I've
well.
signed
So
so many.
everyone
I've
that you
forced.
train, you forced everyone to do it with you, which is pretty cool because they've all said, yeah, somehow. I don't know if it's your persuasion skills or their athletic abilities that...
And they'll probably mostly beat me. I think everyone will probably beat me.
Yeah,
They're
for
getting
sure.
fast.
Yeah. I think even George said that he might do it.
Yeah, I did. Well, I've got
Yeah.
no chance.
There you go,
But
you'd
yeah,
be racing
so
George.
that is my first kind of big
Fitness goal.
fitness goal for the year.
Have you got any personal goals? Like anything for you to be better at?
I think most of the goals that I've set myself kind of come back to some sort of work situation, like being really consistent with YouTube is one of my big goals for this year because I started it last year and loved it, and then life got very busy and I thought I'll put it on the back burner and come back to it. So I think personal goals, I'm not really setting for this year. I think I should because I think it's important to do so.
Yeah.
And I would tell everyone else to do it, but I think starting the year with 75 hard, training for the marathon, trying to do my YouTube, I feel like they're the kind of things I've really set my sights on for the start of this year.
It's a good point, to be fair. I like to set yearly goals, but I always only look like 12 weeks in advance because I feel like goals change that much.
Yeah.
And you know, in 12 weeks' time, you might have completely different ambitions than you did 12 weeks ago. So that's cool. I like that. And I think you've got quite a lot to go out there. You know, 75 hard. Yeah. And then putting it with me. I actually asked a couple of people questions about what to ask you on this podcast. One of them is, how do you deal with me, and what is the real Jake behind cameras?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, you can answer that.
I think that Jake, the real Jake in the past 8 weeks is a completely different person to who you normally are, because at the minute you're a few days out from a 219 marathon. So you've been, dare I say, slightly stressy and slightly tired and slightly busy and hungry all the time. But I think you're very true to yourself in the way that regardless of who you're around, you are so interested in other people, you make such an effort, you will speak to everyone in any room. Whether you're in a room, you could literally be in a room with 100 famous people and there could be 3 people that are serving drinks, and you will go and speak to the 3 people serving drinks before anyone else. And I think that's such a nice thing about you, that you don't speak to people for status, you don't speak to people because you want them to know you. You're just a genuine nice person that gives a shit about everyone. And I think you hold that whether you're in front of people or whether you're not.
That's nice. What's the downside?
What you also are is very stressy about sleep. So if Jake, he sets himself a goal of 8 hours sleep every night. If he has 7 hours and 55 minutes, his day is ruined because
Before
you didn't
it's
8
even
hours.
started.
Yeah.
I don't even wake up and think, and I'll admit this, I don't even wake up and think, oh, I'm feeling energized today. I feel like my day has ended before it's even started. And that's a me problem. I need to work on that.
Obviously, a lot of your day revolves around your training. Especially like the past few weeks, I've been like, what are your plans for today? Just so I know where we're at with the day, when I need to go and see the dog, when you're going to be in. And you're just like, running all day. Running. So
I think we actually had an argument the other day, and
we did.
I think you snapped at me and you said, all that goes around that fat head of yours.
I don't think I said that, did I?
I think this is what you said. All that goes around that fat head of yours is running. And I think I actually snapped back saying like, shut up or something. But really, I look back on that and I was like, she's right.
At the minute, but
I'm
I
like
get
Forrest
it.
Gump.
Yeah, you are. I get it because at the minute it has to be. But you've definitely been a little bit more difficult to deal with over the past few weeks than normal. I feel like in the nicest way, you're quite like a toddler. As long as you've slept, you've eaten and you've trained, you're pretty happy. And the house is tidy, because if there's like a bit of mess in the way, which is normally your mess, then you're like, why is this house such a mess? And then we've all got to have like a tidy up before we can do anything else.
Yeah. So,
but you are
just
a messy
little bit
person.
touchy at the moment, yeah.
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 But we're 3 days out, so I get it.
I've been like a robot. I've just had to tick things off every day, and unfortunately, it's taken over my life, I think.
And it is what it is. And I've just left you to it. But I can't lie, I do. If I know you're in a bad mood, I just don't speak to you. I think I don't want to make it worse.
So I've got some quick fire questions for you.
Okay. Why does this make me nervous?
I don't know, probably because you've not seen them. But first question, we'll start off with an easy one. Favorite pre-workout meal?
Okay, this is very specific. It's got to be a Warburton's bagel. They're really, really nice, and they're pre-cut with raspberry jam and sweet and salty pepper, peanut butter.
What if you're in the US and they don't have Warburton's? Everything bagel?
Not before I train, because I feel like it's too
garlicky,
tasty. Yeah, I don't want to be tasting that whilst I'm running. Maybe cereal or a Squares bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Squares sword. They've got Squares sword.
Squares, they're a bit big, really, but.
Okay, next one. What is the biggest mistake you see people make with their training?
I think a big one, and this might not seem directly training related, but it is just comparing themselves to what they see other people do. I think we live in the age of, obviously, social media. Like, anything you're doing, someone on social media is doing 10 times better than you. So if you were to ask someone what their goals were or what they wanted to achieve, and no one ever had to find out about it, I think they'd be very different to their spoken goals, because people feel like their goals aren't big enough because someone's doing something bigger, someone's doing something better. And I think when you start to realise that you're on your own journey, it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing, that's when you really start to do the things that you're passionate about, and you're doing them for the right reasons. Again, you might be really happy because you've just hip thrusted 100 kg, but you go on Instagram and someone's hip thrusting 200 kg. And I think we get so caught up in this world that you then don't celebrate your wins. You don't push yourself as much as you wanted to because you feel a little bit irrelevant. And it's definitely something that I've experienced, and I do still experience to this day, because but then you've got to just realise, like, their path is different, their history is different.
Well, you're basically just viewing the freakiest people on the planet on your social media page. Like, you go on there and you've got the best athletes in the world. There's 8 billion people on the planet. You're probably following the 500 best athletes, and you're comparing yourself to them. And I think in every sport, the top end is just getting so good now. Like, you see in High Rocks, like, in a year, people have took 5 minutes off the records and things like that. With running, you've got people that are coming out of the woodwork that would have never even been at the level that they're at. Everything's getting better and better, especially with the gym side of it. And if you don't just focus on yourself and you focus on what these other people are doing, it's a quick way to probably get depressed.
Well, even things like, if someone doesn't run and they set themselves a goal of running a 5K, you go on Instagram and everyone's doing marathons and ultra marathons. So then you feel like your 5K goal is irrelevant because whatever you're doing, someone's doing 10 times more than you. So then people think, I'm not going to do that, because if I tell someone my goal is to run 5K, they're going to laugh at it.
How do you deal with that then?
It's definitely taken me a while to kind of get my head around it. And I think, without slating you, because we're together, people think that I'm as much of an athlete as you are. And I'm not. I train because I love it. It makes me feel good. I like pushing myself. And I feel like it's taken me a long time to kind of get over that. I didn't run for as long as I can remember because I knew I was going to be shit at it. And I didn't want to be so bad at it, especially when you're so good at it. And when I think about that, I think, how warped is that? That I didn't want to be bad at something because I was new to it, because people would think I was bad at it. But I think you've got to be bad at something to get good at it. And
I think that's why people love you as well, because you do love training for loving training. Yeah. You're not training to be an Olympian. No. You're training because you enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think it's still important to push yourselves and set goals, but like, I don't run so I can do a sub 3 hour marathon. I'm not asked about that. I run because if me 2 years ago could see me running now, I wouldn't believe it, because I never thought I would. And when I think about that, I think I'm doing things now that I would never have had the balls to push myself to do. That's what makes me keep doing it. And that's what makes me love it. And I feel like once you can appreciate that and understand it, it doesn't matter whether you can run a 20-minute 5K or a 40-minute 5K. The fact you're getting out and doing it is the most important thing. But I think it takes you a while to come to that mindset.
Yeah, that's good though. That's one of the things that I actually love about you, without getting soppy. Okay, next one. Do you prefer training early morning or late evening?
Early morning every single time. And I'm not being one of these preachy, 5 a.m. club people. But if I get up and train in the morning, it's like a massive box ticked. Before my day started, I've had a massive win. Whereas if I know I've got a session to do and it's 6 p.m. and I've still got to train, like that is on my mind all day. So if I can get up and smash out a workout, then regardless of what else I've got to do, mentally I'm relieved from the thought of that. Obviously at the minute it's a bit different because I've got 2 to do every day. But again, getting up and getting workout 1 done as early as humanly possible is like a big weight off my shoulders. I know that that's been taken care of, and then I can get that thought out of my mind. I've got a busy head, and my head is like 1,000 tabs being open on your phone. So if I can get rid of something out of that, which for me is getting a training session done, then I know I'm so much more mentally with it for the day.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good way to be, because as well, if you have got a really busy day, if something goes wrong in that day, you won't have a chance to train.
Yeah.
And that just might be it. So if you get your training done first thing, then you know that's done. Your mind's settled a little bit. And like, if you're training, say for example, 45 minutes like you are in the morning, like if you do something like a bike ride or go for a run, like you've got 45 minutes to get your thoughts together and gather your thoughts before entering like a chaotic day. That's what I do like as well. The only thing that I don't like is you getting up at 4 a.m. and waking me up.
I do try and be quiet.
Yeah, but you do set the alarm. You set about 70 alarms, and you do snooze as well. That is one thing
I do.
about you. You do snooze your alarms.
Because I always set a last chance alarm.
Because you're the last to sleep and you're the first awake. That's why. And you're tired.
But then I feel like it gets you set up for the day as well. Again, going back to the coaching side of things. If you're half asleep and you're going to coach someone, you're like, But if you've been up and you've trained and you've showered and you've got ready, like you're so ready for the day. And like you said, so many people get random voice notes off me first thing in the morning when I'm running, because my mind's working through what I need to mentally do before I've started my working day. That it does just give you a bit of time to clear your head. Again, if you're training at a gym on your own or running outside on your own, it's so nice and like mentally free, and it's like the calm before the storm for the rest of the day.
Yeah, no, I do agree. It's just a little bit annoying sometimes. That's all I'd say. It's like therapy, this.
I know it is. It's like couples counselling.
Next one. What's the worst piece of advice, fitness-wise, that you have followed?
I would probably...
Or myth, fitness myth.
Yeah, probably training fasted.
I was just about to say this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we went for a big stage where we train every morning, and I wouldn't eat in the morning, and I'd be trying to lift these stupid weights and you just get injured. And I was literally going into training sessions half asleep, hadn't eaten, dehydrated.
It's actually more appropriate to women as well.
Yeah, women shouldn't train fasted. I can't
at all.
Yeah,
like I know you can become more fat adapted, and you can potentially burn more fat if you start to train fasted.
Yeah,
but the studies show that women can actually lose their cycle.
Yeah,
they can lose their
same
period.
With that, intermittent fasting isn't recommended for women.
Yeah,
and I think, again, it's probably something that you end up doing to learn from it. Yeah. If someone tells you don't do something, you're more likely to do it because you think you're wrong.
You also feel better off just having a little bit. If it's just like some jam on toast.
Yeah, or like even like a sugary drink, like a Red Bull or something. Do you know?
Yeah.
Having something in you to fuel you through your session makes... If I try and lift a weight above 2 kg without eating, I'm like overcooked spaghetti. Like, not a chance is that happening. But again, for the longest time, I went through it because I thought it was better for fat loss. And obviously, in that mindset that I was stuck in, more was always more. Eat as little as you can, move as much as you can, hope you don't get injured. When you do get injured, you've kind of fucked it. And that's the point I was at. And now I look back at that and I just think I was so stupid. But I also think I learned a very important lesson the hard way. And now I wouldn't go back to doing that.
Good point. Right. Biggest gym icks.
Oh, I've got so many.
And I feel like this is an ick just us talking about this, but biggest gym icks for... We'll go males in the gym.
Okay.
First.
Thankfully, I don't think you do any of these, because if you did, I'd never be able to unsee them. My first
I think
one,
you've already told me if I am doing an ick, and I quickly stopped doing
it. My first one, which is the biggest one, whether you're in the gym, whether you're not, men that shadow box. Oh my God, it kills me. And you'd be amazed amazed at how many people do it because I don't even know if they realise that they're doing it. But they like finish a set and they're wondering, like, and I look at them and I think, what are you doing? It's such an ick. Do you agree?
Yeah.
It is such an ick.
That's the maddest thing ever. To be fair, I've not really seen it. I think because we work in a private gym, like I'm pretty isolated from that. But,
it's awful. That's probably the biggest. And then close second, which you probably won't realise people do it, but now I've mentioned it, you'll never be able to unsee it. Especially when people are doing classes or they're training really hard and they're tired and you make eye contact with them, rather than saying anything, they stick the tongue out at you, which sounds mad. And you're probably like thinking, really? And now you'll see it. And people just look at you, dead eye contact, and they're sticking the tongue out to show that they're fucked. And I think, what a weird thing. That put your tongue back in your mouth. What are you doing? I don't want to see it.
Not a dog.
Yeah, I don't want to see it. And I don't think people realise that they do it. But once you like make people realise that people do it, they're like, oh my God, so many people do it. And every time I see it, I'm like, oh, stop it. Women do it as well as men, to be fair, but I don't want to see it.
What else?
I think I'm not being mean by saying this because I'm not, but like doing half reps of things or like men that lift.
I was gonna say like incorrect technique.
Yeah, but mainly like this isn't real. Like men doing heavy bicep curls and they're like rocking back and forwards and they're moving the weight like a quarter of the way. And I think surely you're not feeling that. Like you can't be thinking, oh, my biceps are on fire because you're hardly moving them. Like you're rocking back and forth, and they're
especially when they look like they train and
Yeah.
they've had like years training. They're looking in pretty decent shape, and then they do that.
And they're normally looking at themselves and they'll be like, ooh. And I'm like, oh my God, stop it. And then I can't look.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I've got any for the female side.
Yeah, have you?
I don't think the icks, because an ick, like, what's the definition of an ick? Like,
To me, when I think of an ick, it's like sends shivers down my spine. Like, ooh.
Yeah. I think the lads in the gym would all agree with the length of time it takes a woman to get ready after a gym session. Some of them girls are in there getting ready for work for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
and
but
I'm
everyone
like,
looks nice by the end of it.
yeah, they do look nice. They smell unbelievable when they walk out. But an hour and a half to get ready for work, like, do you know, people might slate me for that. But
I
it's a little
admire
bit
them
longer.
for it, though.
And the only reason we say that is because we want to use the showers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. No, but I admire them for it because I wish I was that person. I'm not. I will shove my greasy, sweaty hair on top of my head and just go back over my sweaty foundation and think, oh, it'll be fine. But then I see them girls walking out and I'm like, oh my God, you look insane. And I'm like a sweaty, greasy, patchy
What's
mess.
your opinion on letting out a noise?
Oh, I don't like it. I find it really awkward.
Like a Ronnie Coleman lightweight baby.
So we used to work in a bodybuilding gym.
Being serious though.
No, we used to work in a bodybuilding gym, and I'm not going to make this too specific, but there used to be a few people that came in and they would scream. And I mean scream, and the noises that are like sex noises that come out of people's mouth. And I'm like, oh my God, please stop that. Or like heavy grunting.
Have you ever coached a female
Yes.
that has done that? Yeah.
Yes. I'm not going to go into detail, but yes, and it's awkward.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
That'd
awful.
be a bit weird.
What can you do? Because you can't tell someone to stop doing it. And I don't think many people do it on purpose. But when I can't unhear it, and then I'm thinking, oh my God, everyone else is like, yeah.
And then this is a nick that I think I do is I'm not very good with picking gym music.
Oh yeah, you pick
bit of a
awful
bad
gym.
DJ.
You put Nickelback radio on all the time, and I'm like, this was cool 25 years ago.
Yeah. My go-tos are Kanye West radio.
Mm-hmm. No, I
on
can get on board
Spotify.
with that.
Yeah, but people don't want to hear it all the time.
Yeah.
A rock workout mix.
You put like AC/DC radio on.
Because the guys are into a little bit of rock.
Or they might have said once like, oh, put this song on by AC/DC, and then you play it over and over
play it
and over to them.
again. And then one that I can't get on board with is like British grime. Like I cannot put like but
but you're very set. You listen to the same playlist when you're driving. You listen to like country playlist.
yeah, but when I train, I listen to country.
Yeah.
And when I'm like doing a chill session, and then I'll listen to like American rap when I'm doing a workout, and that's kind of it. But
Yeah, other people don't want to listen to that.
yeah, people don't want to, and I just
do
don't know
think
what's
it's
going on.
awkward though. I think when you step into the job of being a coach, you also
It is
become a
the
DJ,
pressure. Yeah,
and you're not
so
ready
much
for
pressure,
it.
yeah.
It's like when you get the aux in the car.
Yeah.
The aux. Does everyone even have
You
an aux
use like
anymore?
SoundCloud though. You're pretty rogue.
I used to. I don't
go
anymore.
on rogue.
Because then it'd be
SoundCloud,
like 20
playlists.
minutes through and it'd be dead good, and then there'd be some dead like weird MC come on and start talking, and I'm like, oh, stop it.
Yeah. The guy in the gym this morning, we're in Houston. The guy,
He had a good playlist.
he had a good playlist.
Yeah, we did. I've made a mental note of that. I think it was actually a Beyonce playlist, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty good though. It was good. But yeah, any questions before we wrap up?
For you, I would say, do you have any goals that you've not announced that you'd like to achieve in 2026?
Ooh, well, it depends if this marathon goes okay.
How do you think it's going to... So for anyone that doesn't know where we are, we're 3 days out from Jake's sub 220 marathon. How are you feeling for it?
I feel like I've done everything in my power.
And a bit
now,
more.
Yeah, and a bit more. And it's just rocking up on race day and kind of finishing the job. That's how I feel. I don't know if it's going to go that way. A marathon is one of them distances that on the day, you just might not have it. Or it might be weather conditions might not be perfect, or it might just be like a tight course. So you might trip over, whatever it is.
That'd be an ick.
Yeah, that would be an ick. But there's so many things that can go wrong. So we're just going to see on the day. Hopefully it plays out. I think if that happens, then maybe Berlin at the end of the year and try and go for an even faster time.
Oh, God, not again.
But I need to crack on with High Rocks.
How fast do you think you could go?
I don't know. I've been constantly improving, and I don't know where that limit is yet. I'm yet to find out. But that's the interesting thing. That's what everyone is doing. They're trying to find their own limits, and that's what I want to find. So whether that's this year, I doubt it's going to be this year. It might be in a couple of years, but yeah, that's the plan. But I'm really enjoying the running at the moment. In fact, actually, there was a 10K that I signed up to the other week that I did, which was the Ribble Valley 10K.
You've done a lot of 10Ks.
Well, the Ribble Valley one that I did. I ended up getting 31 minutes,
which is just
46
crazy.
or something like that. But the elite qualifying time to get a free entry is 30,
Is that all we want? The free entry.
is 30 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay.
So I think for next year, try and get that
To save yourself 30 quid.
To save myself 30 quid.
Nice.
And sometimes they sell out, and when they sell out, the only way to access them is through the elite entry spot.
Okay.
So, because I'm so last minute, I'm not organised one bit. Maybe this is something that you can help with. But
you are actually so unorganised.
Yeah.
And even when I tell you to do something to be more organised, you're like, I'll do it later, and then later never comes.
yeah, that's just how we live. And I think everyone gets stressed out about me. Maybe that's one thing that I need to do. That's a goal for 2026, become more organised. But apart from that, yeah, that's it. Just it. Probably live more in the moment. Stop thinking about the future.
Stop worrying about the future.
It's not enjoyable, that. So yeah, just we have a good life and let's live in it. But yeah.
For sure.
Well, that was pretty cool.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I feel like I've spoke to you like
We've never met before.
we've never met, but yeah. No, I appreciate you coming on.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily.